In the small, sleepy village of Elmwood, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, life was simple and predictable. The villagers were known for their kindness and camaraderie, but there was one man who stood out, Old Man Granger. Granger was a recluse, living in a dilapidated cottage on the edge of the village. He was known for his sharp tongue and even sharper wit, and he had a reputation for holding grudges. One sunny morning, Granger woke up to find his prized apple tree stripped bare. The tree, which had been in his family for generations, was his pride and joy. He stormed through the village, demanding to know who had stolen his apples. The villagers shook their heads, claiming innocence, but Granger was unconvinced. Days passed, and Granger's anger festered. He decided to take matters into his own hands. Late one night, he crept into the village square and uprooted the beautiful flower beds that the villagers had lovingly tended. The next morning, the villagers were horrified to find their flowers destroyed. They immediately suspected Granger, but no one dared confront him. The village elder, a wise woman named Martha, decided it was time to intervene. She visited Granger at his cottage, carrying a basket of fresh bread and honey. Granger eyed her suspiciously but allowed her inside. "Granger," Martha began, "I understand you're upset about your apples, but destroying the village flowers won't bring them back. This tit-for-tat behavior will only lead to more strife." Granger crossed his arms, his face set in a stubborn frown. "They took what was mine. I took something of theirs. Fair is fair," Martha sighed. "But don't you see? This cycle of retaliation will never end. Someone has to break it." Granger remained silent, but Martha's words lingered in his mind. That night, he lay awake, thinking about the village and his place in it. He realized that his actions had only deepened the divide between him and his neighbors. The next morning, Granger did something no one expected. He went to the village square with a sack of apple seeds and began planting them in the ruined flower beds. The villagers watched in astonishment as the old man worked tirelessly, his hands covered in soil. One by one, the villagers joined him, bringing shovels and watering cans. Together, they transformed the square into a beautiful orchard. Granger's heart softened as he worked side by side with the people he had once despised. From that day on, Granger became a beloved member of the community. The orchard flourished, and every autumn, the villagers gathered to harvest the apples, sharing them with Granger and each other. The lesson was clear. Sometimes, breaking the cycle of tit-for-tat requires an act of kindness, not retaliation. And in doing so, Granger found something he had long forgotten: peace and belonging.